Hey, this is Asbog the Gaming Orc, and we're going to talk about Stellaris here and the 1.6 Atoms Update patch. I've been playing a lot of Stellaris. One really cool thing about this game is that Paradox Studios constantly updates this game, improving it. A lot of the earlier complaints when the game came out, like the AI and stuff, not being as efficient and so forth, and this game still has a lot of cycles. Whenever they release a new patch, a lot of people play it. It's a really awesome sci-fi, a grand strategy game, one of the best ones I've ever played. It's a lot of fun. The beginning of the game is very fun. They also have mid and late game events to keep the game interesting, as well as, you know, there's just a lot of variations in species and species types you can play. And I'll be making some content, additional content, like the top 10 Stellaris mods that will be coming out on this channel pretty soon. I'll be releasing a lot of other content like For Honor, some Hearthstone videos as well in the future, as For Honor will have a new patch with some new characters coming out. But let's talk about Stellaris and the 1.6 patch. One really cool thing is in the recent Utopian patch they have Hive Mind. Hive Mind is really a race that is bent on, it's mostly a biological race, so it's not really like the Borg in which I originally wanted it to be. Not that I say you couldn't do it that way, but it's just more biologically tuned, because when you attack another species, you pretty much have to auto-purge it, which gives your empire and species a huge negative modifier to diplomacy. So one really cool add-on that does exist out there is the way to play the Elrich species, this extra dimensional species. I'll link the mod in the comments below, but that's more or less a style of gameplay that you're going to want to play as a Hive Mind, because you're going to have to win through a domination victory. One way they've added something here to the civics is something called Devouring Swarm, so you can a lot of your ships are, and they're also going to have more of a biological twist on the Hive Mind. So you can actually have ship hull points, monthly regeneration, your army damage is increased, your biology is increased by 20% as well. So as a Hive Mind, you cannot engage in any diplomacy as well. And I believe you can have bio ships and so forth a part of other mods or ways, new civics and 1.6 vanilla version here. Another really cool thing they're adding here is terraforming. So you currently I don't think you can terraform planets that have other species on them. Well, now you can. It gives them a slight negative modifier when you are terraforming their homeworld, and obviously after their environment changes they might have a negative effect to it. But it's another really cool addition to the game for people that are sort of boxed in. I'm playing a game currently as the Bionic Star Consortium, and one game I'm surrounded by a bunch of AI, but there's a lot of planets, as this 3,000 star galaxy has a lot of density to it, which is just really interesting. Let's scroll down a little bit and take a look here at some of the additional patch notes. One really cool thing you can do is you're now going to be able to repair ruined megastructures. If you find them, I did another game where I was playing a spiritualist group. I found a ring world very early. You can actually now repair these megastructures if you're fortunate to find them in the game. They are there. They do exist. It's pretty interesting. You can now also, another really cool feature that they're going to add is, you know how some of your, this is more of a sector management thing. If certain sectors have a ton of resources and you want to bring those resources back from, say, your state to the empire, you can spend a lot of resources, the cost of 100 influence, just at when you're not in a defensive war, on 25 influence if you're in a defensive war, where you can bring 100 of this, you can bring 75% of all those stockpiled resources back to the empire for you to build ships. So that's really cool. The auto-saving for Ironman is now going to be quarterly instead of monthly, which is really awesome as well. I currently play a lot of games on Ironman, and the problem is in the auto-saving feature, it kind of spam auto-saves a lot. Also, your autosave for Ironman isn't uploaded to the cloud, which is another problem. But if you play in denser star systems, What I've noticed is that you're going to have a problem with it. You're going to have going to be playing. The saves are pretty intense for a 3,000 star system, for instance, which I noticed that the game doesn't really crap out on. So there's mods to increase it from 1,000 to up to 10,000 stars. So you can play with 10 times the largest star system. One really cool thing I just noticed from the a few balancing changes we'll talk about. They're going to make the endgame crisis a lot more difficult. They're going to double the base strength of the extra dimensional fleets, and their initial fleet has more or less been quadrupled. So they're more than double the base strength of the Praetorian Guard, the Scourge invasion. That's another endgame one. And they're going to basically have the Scourge crisis show up more often than the Unbidden Scourge there too. So that's another really interesting feature. They're basically making it really powerful. So the endgame crises are going to be even harder for those people that were even struggling with them then. What was another interesting thing? You can Hive Minds can now eat Titanic life. They're doing a few things with the extra dimensional guys are going to be stronger as well. The fallen empires are not going to spawn as close to people as they did before. There are also the endgame crises, and fallen empires will scale with the galaxy size. So larger galaxies means more serious crisis for the galaxy to actually contend with, which makes sense. Why would they invade a larger galaxy? Because they would probably have a harder time with them. Leviathans, part of that expansion, which is really cool feature, will no longer occasionally spawn right next to the Empire starting systems. So that's really cool. Some spiritual fallen empires won't be mad if you take over tomb worlds. And what other interesting thing in the buildings here, a couple things I noticed was the symbol of unity has been removed, and those related technologies have been removed as well. So symbol of unity was a rare technology which allowed you to get, I believe, 3 unity. So you can build a symbol, but then you could build a symbol of unity as well, I think 1 per planet. So I think they realized, like, hey, this is a really important, this unity mechanic that builds traditions in the game, similar to a culture of victory and civilization, is really powerful. So I think they decided to tone that down a little bit. I use the Paradise Dome quite a bit with my pacifist star rate, one race that's like a starfish race, and they reduced that from 10% down to 5%, the happiness modifier. It still will give you 2 unity, but they've also just affected certain things like the Dragon Shrine building. They've affected other buildings regarding around, for instance, the clinics now will produce society research instead of food. These are all really cool changes. They're improving the AI, which is really good. There's going to be a lot of really cool features with that. They're improving the AI, and then they're also going to improve some user modding, cleaning up, allowing for some multi-threading for ship component targeting, which is really cool. So we already talked about they're adding the backgrounds, which isn't a big deal since there's background mods which have like 200 mods for that. And they're doing some bug fixes here, which is just quality of life bug fixes. So they're adding a ton of really awesome bug fixes as well. So that's pretty much the 1.6 in a nutshell. It's going to be awesome. This game constantly is evolving. I'm going to be releasing a lot more content, not only for Stellaris, including the 10 best mods that you can get for this game, or for at least 1.5/1.6, that really add a lot of life to this game and make it pretty much a 10 out of 10 game, in my opinion. We're also going to look at some of the new For Honor characters that are coming out in mid-May. We're also going to talk about probably Ashes of Creation in a little bit, but it's really hard for me to get away from playing Stellaris, just to let you know. And so we're going to put out some more Hearthstone videos, some older games that I had, not too old, but some really fun Hearthstone games, as well as I'll be playing some Murlocs as the Shaman I got the Shaman quest with the Murlocs. There's going to be 2 more expansions with Hearthstone later this year. I think that's going to make the game a lot more dynamic, especially for the really unique decks like Priest. It'll hopefully add a lot more or less. The game won't be so aggro meta, in my opinion. Like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys in the next chapter.